Please welcome to the program, Samantha Brown.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing
Hi.
today?
Good. Thanks for having me here. I'm excited to be here.
Well, thank you for coming on. Of course, last week we actually had Angela Moore on the show.
Oh, you did? Okay,
Yeah.
Bacta.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Back to on from, and of course, we were talking about this, mysterious town that if you drive up, you see a tree in the street, and you go around it, you're gonna be stuck in this town, and there's people just can't get out of it. It's mysterious. And this past Sunday, your character first appeared, debuted at the end of the episode, and it seems like Aosta is going to be stuck in the town as well.
Yeah, it seems to be. Yes. The Sunday's episode, it's my favorite episode of the season. I think a lot of other people's as well. So Sunday we will see what happens.
There we go.
Nice.
So, yeah, being this new on the force police officer going into this crazy situation, is there anything else you can tell us about Aosta before we get to know her
Yeah,
in the episode?
I think it's going to be interesting to see how she is in the mix. We know what her badge means in the real world, but what does it mean when you're in From and the rules are different? There is a sheriff, there is a deputy, and if she gets stuck in From, what does that mean? Does she sort of like carve her own path, or does she team up with, Kenny and Boyd? And it will be interesting to see a police officer who is their main job is to serve and protect and to help people that feel helpless, but she doesn't have access to the same tools and resources that she's used to having in the field. And she's stripped of everything in From. So it will be interesting to see how she sort of figures it all out.
Yeah, because as you mentioned, Boyd and Kenny in the show, they're doing the best that they can, but neither one of them is an actual trained police officer like Aosta is, right? Like I'm curious to see how that's going to really play out because Boyd, former military, Kenny's just Kenny.
Yeah,
Kenny's
like,
Kenny.
Like,
Kenny's Kenny.
No offense to Kenny, he's really trying, but
he's really good at being Kenny.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. I think it's interesting because we know what is right and wrong and moral and immoral outside of From. And so what if she gets stuck in From, it will be very interesting to see her. Will she adapt to sort of the new rules, or will she say like, wait a minute, what are you guys doing here? Like what's going on here? This is messed up. So I think she'll either have a hard time adjusting, or she will sort of get with the program and team up. It could go either way.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. In a situation like this, it's kind of, not that I've gone through it, obviously, like who has, but like that's going to be the difficult dilemma for everybody who comes into that town. It always is every time there's a new potential influx of people.
Yeah.
They got to go through like what you're describing, that like, what I wouldn't do in the real world, like we do.
Yeah.
Might be okay in the town, right. It's a little bit different. Although I will say, I personally wish somebody who gets to the tree just runs past the tree.
I know. I wish that too.
Yeah.
Right. You just like,
just jump right over it.
Step over that tree.
I saw someone online say that they're just going to travel with a chainsaw wherever they can.
See, that's smart. That's smart. Just get rid of the obstacles in your path. That's
smart and practical. Yeah.
Instead of prepping for the zombie apocalypse, we're prepping now for fallen trees to take us to.
We gotta cut some trees down here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez, they keep coming up with new fictional things we got to be worried about in.
How do you know it's fictional? You don't know.
True. Yes, this is prophecies. Totally.
We could be talking to a virtual version of Samantha that she pre-programmed before she got on the road.
True.
Right?
That's
AI,
interesting.
man.
Well, that's very very thoughtful of you to do that. Thank you. Now, of course, From is shot in Nova Scotia, and the actual town location is an old decommissioned radar base for the Canadian military. So when you're shooting there, do any weird things happen? Because again, like that's a weird place to have your set built.
Yeah. Well, what was weird for me was I watched the show in between my original audition and my callback. And so you go from watching the show to then 2 weeks later, because I'm based out of Toronto, being flown out to Halifax and the whole town exists. Like all the structures are there. Like, you know, I thought we'd be in a studio or some green screen action, but every single piece, every single building set is there. Colony House is on a hill. And so I felt like I was transported inside my television. I was like, you guys were all just in my living room. And now, you know, I'm like eating a burrito on my couch, like watching Boyd. And now I'm like with Harold in Hallfax, like eating a burrito together.
I was about to ask, were you still eating the burrito? Because that's very meta. All right. So
but you appreciate that as an actor because there's very little imaginatory work that you have to do. Like it's all there. And even I don't think people realize like the creatures, we're not acting opposite a tennis ball. Like these creatures, the prosthetics team on our show, like Patrick Baxter is the head of it, and it's phenomenal work. Like the creatures are there, fully decked out in prosthetics. And if you're being chased by a creature as an actor, you feel like as Samantha, you are being chased by, like, it's reality television to me. It's just real.
Yeah, I'd say so. I gotta say, the creatures aren't the thing that scared me. The mutilated cow is what really got to me.
Oh yeah,
that was such a well done. Like it looked.
Yeah.
It looked disgusting. So there you go.
Well, I'm going to say this. The creatures actually don't, as terrifying as the face, you know, like what they look like.
Yeah.
They don't nearly bother me as much as the silent walking and smiles. Really creep the hell out of me.
Yeah. That's like that Smile movie. Have you guys seen Smile? That horror movie where it's just people, it's like basically Smiley in From, but like everyone just smiles at you. It's kind of like, it's terrifying. Horrifying.
There's something unnerving about somebody who's that clearly fake smiling.
Yeah.
Like that's why I'm saying this. Like I see that smile and they're just like, come out and play, and I'm like that. My whole soul shivers.
Yeah. You know what I find in this season in particular, and I am allowed to say this because we've already seen it, is now the monsters are becoming more strategic. And I find that horrifying because as a viewer, when I watch the first 2 seasons, I'm kind of like, oh, maybe these are just these brain dead zombies that whoever's in front of them, they just slash their throat. There's no rhyme or reason. But now you can see that they're like picking and choosing people and they're planning and strategizing. And that to me, like that ups the stakes. Because now your competitor is intelligent.
Well, not only are they strategizing, but they're gloating at you that they're strategizing.
Yeah, they're like loving it. It's like, loving it. Yeah.
Well, it was one of the comments about the characters in the show that they say, I think it's in season 1. It might have been in season 2, but the whole thing, like they don't ever run. Like they walk because they just know that you can't leave. So like eventually they're going to get you.
Yeah.
Which is also terrifying. And it's just like, there's no sense of urgency from them, but also like, as you mentioned, because they're showing cognitive ability. That it's like, it's not a zombie. A zombie, at least I know I can outrun, you know, if they can't smell me or whatever, it's not going to bite me. I'm all good, you know?
Yeah.
But these things doesn't matter, you know? It's just with that. So coming into a show like this, because I was looking back at some of your other work and, you know, and I see it, and there's some diametrically opposed styles, you know, like some of the more Christmas movies and, you know, and some of those things. Coming into this, like you said, that visceral feel of being physically in the town, like a real world set, and is great effects and horrific and all that kind of stuff. Is that something like you enjoy as a performer, getting to work in this kind of a feel, say getting away from those Christmas things, a little bit of happier stuff, you get to play in that? Like, are you a horror fan?
Yeah, this is sort of the world that I want to play in for the foreseeable future for my career. And look, I've done the Christmas movies and they're great, especially as a jump off point as an actor, because you can sort of get your feet wet in the industry, figure it out, make some mistakes, you know, make a little bit of money, get some footage for your demo reel, and then sort of level up your career. But oddly enough, I find Hallmark movies, personally for me, more challenging than filming things like this, because there's like a formula for Hallmark movies, right? There's like a boundary. It's like a football field. It's like you have to stay on the field within the 2 end zones, right? There's a certain, your makeup, your hair, your performance, your cadence, the way that you speak. It's a formula that you have to adhere to. And there's nothing wrong with that. That works for the network, and these movies make them a ton of money and they're watched by millions of people. That's why they keep making them. But I find that more challenging. Whereas on something like From, I can show up to set and I read the scene for the day and I'm like, I could do this 100 different ways. And I can feel free on the set to do it. And whatever is garbage ends up on the cutting room floor. But I know that I'm allowed to sort of take those chances and make those choices. Whereas in Hallmark, you'll look at a scene and you're like, okay, there's 2 ways I'm probably going to be allowed to do this. And I know the way that they're going to go. And again, nothing wrong with it. It's just, I like more of that creative freedom that comes into, TV dramas, especially American TV dramas.
Yeah, and that totally makes sense because we've had a number of actors on here. I always make the joke that Hallmark movies are the Canada's greatest export for actors. Like that's basically everybody gets their feet wet here for that. We've had actors on who've talked about. There was one actor we had on who talked about that he actually went to the directors and asked if he could go a little bit darker because it was a little bit more darker subject matter than they usually cover in a Hallmark movie. And it took a long time to get the okay on that. We've had Tim Rose on who he's told me he is the only Hallmark leading man to ever get to keep his facial hair.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was Candace Cameron Bure that went and said, no, I have no problem with him having the facial hair. He needs it for his other project. And then finally Hallmark signed off on it. So when you're there and you're shooting things like Hallmark, is there somebody with like a shotgun off camera going, be festive, damn it?
Well, you know what? Funny enough, I filmed a Christmas movie pretty much a year ago this month. And I didn't know that, I don't know what this person's, I'm assuming it's a producer, but we were filming on a set. It was very dark and there was someone in the corner and they were watching the monitors. And the director had said something, we were saying a line of that someone in the office was a Nepo baby, which means that you come from like privilege, your parents or someone in your family or friends are kind of connected in the industry and you're a Nepo baby. And so I said that line. And they yell cut, and the person immediately gets up out of their chair and walks right over to the director and is like, Hallmark said she can't say Nepo. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, did I swear? Did I say something? Did I like give the middle finger? Like what? Right. And they were like, no, like Nepo is like triggering for people and she can't say that. So there is someone that sort of knows that formula and is making sure that as the day goes on, we are sticking to it.
There you go.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's not a shotgun, it's a pen. That's basically going through, crossing out red. Nope, not that one. Not
I
that
would have
word.
so much red on me. They're just like, no. Get this. Who hired this girl?
And I was going to ask about a little, also because correct me if I'm wrong, but Hallmark films are pretty much like, not only do they have, like, as you mentioned, the boundaries, like they have their style. It's a very, as you said, specific style. And we all are, even if we've never watched one, which I think I've watched like maybe 10 minutes in my entire life, I still know what that style is. I could turn something on and go, that's a Hallmark movie. You just know. But with all of that, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe, aren't they also shot like pretty quick? Like you don't get much time to, whereas like From, you're going to get a little bit more breathing room by comparison, I'm assuming, correct?
For sure. Most of the films that I've done for Hallmark, I think the entire film is shot in 15 shooting days. So it's fast. But that's why it's like a really good training ground for actors, because you have to just be on the ball constantly. You got to know your lines. You're getting 2 takes and they're moving on. And that's what I was saying back to the choices. Like you can't really play around with all these choices because there's just not the time for it. So I also understand from their perspective, like we got to pump these movies out. We can't have you doing all your like fancy acting stuff. Like get to the point, get to the take that we're going to use. And move along. So yeah, it is like lightning fast.
Yeah, I got to imagine as an actor, then that can be pretty helpful. Like as you said, like moving on to like a From or future projects, you have, okay, I know from that I need to get at least 1 or 2 proper takes that they want to for sure get.
Yeah.
Then you can kind of get into that play facility. Were you able to do that when you working on From? Did you get any chances to improvise?
Oh yeah, a lot, especially when she starts to get into it with different characters. Like there's so much sort of like digging around there. But I will say that when episode 4 airs on Sunday, I can't say what the scene is, but it's the most chaotic scene. That was my first day of shooting on From. And it always happens to me that like the most important scene that my character has is not only the first day of my shooting schedule. It's the first day of the entire like episodes shooting schedule. And so it was the first time, it was a night shoot. It was, you know, negative 20 degrees Celsius in Halifax. It was my first time meeting everyone. And the stakes of this scene were crazy high. And I just thought, like, thank God I have experience even on those Christmas movies. It gives you confidence, and you know how a set works, and you understand how it's a collaborative environment, and props, and firearms for film and television. Like, I would have been a total fish out of water. I probably would have gotten fired if this was my first gig. So it really helps prepare you for the big league. So I never look at it and say, oh, I don't need those movies. Like, I'm thrilled that I did those movies, because they just prepare you to look like a professional on set and not like an idiot. You don't know what you're doing.
Of course. But it's a rite of passage for all Canadian actors now. It used to be the rite of passage was working with Gordon Pinsett. Now for a Canadian actor, it's
and Murdoch Mysteries. You guys
Murdoch Mysteries, yes.
Yeah.
That show will never die. It will never die.
I know. I've heard that show has gone on for so long that I think it's a 10-year period, that if you were on it 10 years ago, they'll let you re-audition now and play a completely new character, because they've run through all the actors.
My God. Yeah.
It's it's not surprising, and plus there's always new actors and new people, new opportunities, but yeah, I love that Canada has got these things, like that we have those abilities, yes, we can make fun of Hallmark. Everybody makes fun of Hallmark to some degree, but
it's a freaking force. People eat it up.
I know I have friends that literally like will block time off. To like, and then when they do the Christmas in July now, like you're saying, like,
oh right, yeah.
This fast paced, like they got to shoot almost 365 these days.
And when they're not doing that, it's mystery type movies.
Right? Yeah,
it's like they have so much. Like there's so much Hallmark that has to be created to sustain Hallmark.
Yeah, but I read too. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure these numbers are accurate. That in 2022. The film and television industry in Ontario, where I'm based out of, contributed $3 billion to the province. And then it took a hit in 2023 down to $2 billion because of the strikes. But it's like, that's a huge number. That's a lot of jobs. Like, that's nothing to scoff at. So we need those movies.
Totally.
People feed their family off those. And who knows? Like, I don't know what will happen with From, or you never know if you kind of go through a lull and you're like, hey, Hallmark, like,
exactly.
Well, they're always going to be there. That's the great thing.
Yeah. Old reliable Hallmark, definitely.
Go back.
Oh my God. That's a factual quote. She looked everything up. She got the numbers right. That's completely official. We're totally quoting her on this.
Yes. Oh God.
Okay, so at the season 3 premiere party, you guys were all there, and Prime Video shot like a quick survey type questions with you guys, and you picked supernatural scares over jump scares and ghosts over spiders. So you just don't want to deal with the real scary things. The things that are fictional you're cool with, but real scary things you don't want to deal with at all.
Wait, so I picked supernatural over jump scares.
Yeah, saying you would rather take supernatural scares than deal with jump scares, and you'd rather deal with ghosts than spiders.
Well, I know why I said that, and I stand by that. And let me explain. My favorite genre of film is psychological thrillers, like anything with the mind. So like the mixture of physical danger, but then like the intellectual sort of mind messery. And so the supernatural to me really plays with your mind versus a jump scare where you're just like, whatever. But it's when it really starts to play into your psyche, that's why I said the monsters this season are scarier to me, because it's like smart horror.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's, 100%. I would also choose ghosts over spiders, just because spiders are evil. And I stand by that. And
who wouldn't choose ghosts over spider? No way, Andrew's gonna say.
I don't know. I'm just gonna say, I'm not saying I'd choose one or the other. I'm just saying spiders, they very important role in our world.
100%.
If they weren't around, there'd be scarier shit to deal with. Trust me.
Yeah, yes. True. But ghosts could be friendly too.
Right.
So that's why I didn't want to rule out all ghosts.
Wait, what about Charlotte's Web? Friendly spider? Come on now.
I never liked that spider. I always thought something was going on there. You're not fooling me.
Any
Hot take from
spider
Samantha.
that saves a pig. I'm not. No, I'm not down with that. Totally. I want
wanted
the ham and the
that
bacon.
day.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Well, Samantha, I want to thank you for coming on the program. Of
Thanks.
course, the next episode of From airs this Sunday on MGM Plus in America and Paramount Plus in the States. And we're going to get to see more of Aosta and see where she goes. And really excited to see that and look forward to whatever's coming down the pipe for you. And if you have another project, we'd love to have you on back again.
Perfect. Thank you guys. This was so fun. There's nowhere else I'd rather be than spend my Friday night here. So thank you.
There we go. I'm going to clip that and use that as our new advertisement.
There we go.
Well, then I'm going to charge you. Then we need to talk.
All right. We'll work out the rates later.
Yeah.
There you go.
Bye,
All right.
guys.
All right.
Thanks,
Have a good
Samantha.
one.